What's up, everybody? This is episode 5 of Ask the Website Chicks, where we're reviewing some websites live here. I'm here with Tori.
Hello.
And as you know, we are going to screen share and we're going to take some, we're going to look through some comments and websites from the Squarespace forum. So if you have a Squarespace website, you can ask or post your website on feedback on website. I'll share my screen and show you. Or you can also post a comment and drop your link here in the comment section. And we can review your site the following week. All right, so let's dive in. Let me screen share here. Okay, so this is what the Squarespace forum looks like. And here, if you go to forum, there's the feedback on your site. So we're going to be checking those out. We'll start with this one here with Andy. He's designing a website, wants to show off. I personally want to share it because it's also a good way to showcase kind of some website design, what you can do. I will preface saying, as he noted, create some components he built with custom code. So if you're a small business owner, I don't recommend touching custom code. If you're working with a designer, then I'd let them handle the code, but there's no reason for you to be messing with code if you're a small business owner. Focus on your business as from this experience. And
we can go look at the site and see what we think is custom.
All right.
The first thing that it looks like the slider on the side might be custom, but also might just be a clever use of like the galleries. Same with the art in the background. That looks like something that people might think is custom, but is actually just like built-in Squarespace art. I like that they have buttons, as we talk about buttons all the time. I think next generation ERP solutions could be a little bit more like focused on for who or why you. I think a lot of people do ERP solutions. I mean, a lot of IT companies offer that kind of thing. Because I don't know if you'd always call it IT, but it's just not very specific. Like, who are you working with? What's your niche? As you know, we are really big on more niche marketing and kind of like diving into like who's your actual ideal customer. But I love the design of it. So
yeah. Me too. I would add to that is some test factors if you're launching your site, right? Like how many businesses you've already helped. If you're on Google, how many Google reviews do you have? And like Tori is saying, help businesses. What kind of businesses? Businesses 1 million and over, businesses, with this many employees, like something, or businesses in this specific, in the healthcare industry, businesses in the IT. I know that you probably are differentiating by the ERP solutions. If people are really ERP solutions or ERP help, that might be like something you're targeting, which I at first didn't know what that was. So I'm not your target demographic, but I will say if you do describe better the business right on the headline of the hold, it helps just to be able to like connect with the people that are visiting.
Great. So, I mean, I think this works. I think the titles are a little bit small, and I'm assuming that's because the ERP systems implementation and consulting services is so much longer than everything else. I would just call that a content problem and come up with different ones, especially since the blurb below it is still like lorem ipsum. Like, it seems like there's probably some flexibility there to make those words a little bit bigger and easier to read, especially when it's anything like enterprise or anything Fortune 500 companies. Like, usually the people paying those checks are older and have worse eyesight. So I am really big on like, you do not want to design to something that 30-year-olds are reading, because the people signing the checks or making the decisions are usually like 40 plus. So you got to kind of design to the client.
Good point. Absolutely. I agree. I would love to see this on top. I think here's some like proof. Customer satisfaction. I see that you've talked some numbers here. So if it's 348 million in production saved, I'm assuming you know a little bit more of like kind of like the gross revenue of these businesses that you're working with are targeting. So point that out, right? And 3 continents serve. I would be more specific, like what, especially for SEO, like the US and Mexico and Spain, like what, where are you at?
Yeah, there's lots of places that serve like North America and Europe, but getting into Latin America or China is sometimes harder to find. So
yeah, I named some. Here, let me check. Sorry. I like the design. It looks like it's still in development. Like there's some lore here.
yeah.
Let's see. Go.
I mean, at least we have buttons. This one is one of those where it looks cool, and also you cannot do it that way because you can't read it. Like it's the white text over the light green looks cool, and also they literally can't read what you're trying to say there. So I would either change the design so that you don't have words that need to be read right there, or change the background itself instead. But I think there's ways to make a cool background like that work without having to completely change everything. So
yeah, and also there's a lot of like different accessibility tools. Like here's one that I quickly pulled up, right? If you're a small business owner, definitely check out this resource because when you are building a site like this, you want to make sure that it's accessible, and especially if your audience is older, you want to hit that sweet spot between good design and accessibility. Sweet.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a lot of business owners would benefit from using that contrast tool. Because I think that's probably one of the biggest things we see is people using colors that just are inaccessible, and kind of like the first like hit on that checklist of accessibility is like, can people actually read these colors? And a lot of the time the answer is no. So
yeah. All right. Next up is Woodstock Wardrobe Company. Let's check out your site. All right. So I would say if you don't have a logo, I'm assuming you don't have a logo, so you're using text. The navigation, I would just spread that in one line. I would, above the fold, right before people kind of, I guess, are asking who you are, it's like, what's in it for them? So who you help and what problem do you solve, and a call to action. I feel like just those three things, that's what Tori and I really hone down on, especially when we're teaching a workshop or a class, is just like, do a winning headline. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the things with Squarespace. You can test different headlines and sub-headlines and call to action buttons super easily. You don't need to call a developer. It is literally a quick edit you can do. All that to say, I would love to see that photography, but I don't know where you're located too. And it sounds like it might be a local business since you do fitted wardrobes and dressing rooms. Or do you ship, right? Or are you e-commerce? Or do you do consultation only? Like, there's these questions that I'm right off the bat. Like, or is this like, are you targeting like apartment buildings, commercial buildings, or are you targeting like homeowners in what area? So that's just my first impression section.
Yeah, I think this is where it starts to get a little bit more into that. But I think that the part about London and the home counties and Southeast is just so small. And I also think that it's not immediately obvious that you guys, I know I saw this like further on the website, do the design and the installation, like all of it. It's kind of like a one-stop shop, it sounds like, but I think that should be like up higher. Like, we handle it is basically what it sounds like, is kind of like the differentiator. There's lots of places where you can buy them. There's lots of people who will install them. It's not everybody that will design and install. Design, manufacture, and install. So
and I would say good, like I see that these are underlined, but you see here, these don't really distinct from a hyperlink. They don't look like buttons. This actually looks like more like a button, over 20 years of experience. So I would say use more of that style, or even dark button with a light or something that, or maybe like outline on these so that they can differentiate. So move this up, and I would say, just because like right now it's looking like we have 4 different things we can click on, and we want to just make that easier for people to navigate through yours. This looks so cool. I wish I could like that.
So that one looks like a little off center, which I would fix on one like this, one on the left, how it's like not in line, or make the other one not in line so it looks like it's purposeful. Sometimes you do kind of have to just like work with the images you have, and if it makes more sense to make none of them symmetrical, then that works too. I would say though they look really high end, but there's nothing that kind of gives people an idea of how much to like how high end it is, and it's very different between like 5,000, 50,000, and 500,000, and like you're gonna find providers in all of those prices. So I think something that like tells people here like gives them some kind of indication of what level they're looking at. And a lot of the time, if it is really high end, you don't want to do that with like actual money, but sometimes you can do it with like using other people's logos. Like make sure there's designer stuff in the like photos. If it really is super high end, like make sure that the closet is stocked with stuff that's high end, that kind of thing. And if it's not, then you want to be really careful about looking like you're more expensive than you are. I've seen people make this like mistake pretty often, where they're actually only charging like the $5,000 version, not the 50, not the 500, but nobody knows that, and they look like they're more expensive than that. So then people just start contacting them because they're looking at the website going, wow, this looks really nice, I probably can't afford it. They just like mentally add those other zeros, and they don't want to reach out because they don't want to be embarrassed and be like, oh, sorry, that's too expensive for me. So a lot of the time it is really important to just kind of give them some kind of indicator so that they can contact you if they want to.
Mm-hmm. Like the investment, right? Like starting at range or some, or I know Tori talks about this a lot. Would she help me update my contact form, right? Just like say, hey, if this is the price range, this is how I can help you, right? So for example, Square Consulting, $500 to $1,000, and then website builds like this range. And that way, if people, they already know ahead of the time, you're doing a consultation with somebody that knows your pricing, knows the range, and, you're not wasting their time and they're not wasting your time. I feel like in the online space, there's like business for everybody. And that's okay. I think learning that as a small business owner, that like not everybody is a good fit, and as uncomfortable it might be at first, at least for me, I was like, okay, well, what's your budget or stuff? But we kind of we let tech help us kind of have those like buffers and make sure that we're, working, or we're targeting and working with people we know that we can help and are within the budgets that we're doing.
So I just went to the frequently asked questions in the footer. Do you want to go there real quick? Because that's the only place I've seen where it indicates how much it is. And I want to get your thoughts, Lily, on their pricing. So
thank you.
Then there's the typical project. And this is the only place I've seen but I feel like this is surprisingly inexpensive for design, manufacture, and installation. Like I feel like most of the people that I know who are looking for somebody to custom design their closet are assuming that it's going to be more than 5,000 pounds. So, I mean, I feel like that should be somewhere, because I think that it looks like it might be more expensive than that. It looks like it is probably going to cost more, and I think you might be losing people who are like, oh, I'm just assuming that it's more than I can afford, and actually, like, I don't think most people are trying to get custom stuff done. I mean, you might run into them, and I think sometimes we have the experience of like, we talk to like two people who are like tire kickers and are like, oh, well, I thought this would be like for us like $200, and we're like, okay, well, that person just never should have been talking to you in the first place. And don't get too like disheartened by people who just are cheap. And sometimes they're like the loud minority instead of actually like being the majority of your audience, because there are people who pay that like easily, like especially with given how much like housing is now, that's like nothing compared to how much people are paying in rent. Like it's a very reasonable price for what you're doing, and I think that your website should maybe make that more obvious. So yeah,
I love that you've included the frequently asked questions. It might even just be in any of your services too.
Yes.
I feel like just in there when people are scrolling through your specific services here, I would add the FAQ here too. And I would fix some of the spacing here. So do an audit of your website for mobile and desktop. But I would adjust some of that spacing there. I would add buttons for these ones. So if you want people to like look or click, I would go ahead and make sure that those are buttons, like see project, like a verb that has like a call to action, explore more, let me see the, show me the gallery, or something that is just motivating people to click through your site. And I noticed that some of your buttons, right, or some of these links open in a new tab. If we're staying on your website, and I'm browsing through, I'm gonna have like 5 or 6 open tabs, right? Let's just not
That
just
really
disable
freaks some
that.
people out. Yeah, we've worked with enough people in tech to know that like there's a lot of people with money to spend that do not like having 7 tabs open, and they will literally just close them all and exit out. They get overwhelmed. So I would avoid doing that if you can.
Yeah, I love the what you're doing. I think this is awesome. I feel like these small tweaks, or even just like, yeah, as I keep going through, right? I'm like separating instead of doing like just a bunch of text in one section, maybe do 3 columns with headlines. That just makes it easier to visually see and scan your website, right? Instead of some people might just browse. And like we said, I think it was between 10 and 20% of people that actually read, like, or that's how much content is actually read on your website. I have to, I'll fact check that number, but I know it's really low. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that you use headlines and use your, H2, H3s, even H4s, and not just the paragraph copy, because then it can be a lot to read and not just scan.
Mhm.
Sweet. Anything else, Tori?
Nope, I think that's good.
Perfect. All right. The last one we're checking out. See, I have all these tabs open now. All right. Photographer DB22, David, I'm assuming. Hi, David. All right. Here's your website. I love the photography. You have logo, navigation. Quick question again, right? Above the fold, please, like, where are you located?
Mhm.
Is it, are you targeting like people that want, like, yeah, who is your target? Are you like targeting cities, counties, nonprofits that want to preserve, like natural parks? One of my good friends, her husband does photography for like national parks and stuff, and those are like, that's a very different niche market. So I like to see who you're targeting, a headline. Yeah, so questions.
Well, and do they hire you or do they just print your photos? I feel like that's not
Yeah,
immediately
good question.
obvious. Because there's like a get in touch, but it looks like it's mostly, yeah, it looks like you maybe do commission work, but I think that that's not
Mm,
immediately clear. And it's also not immediately clear that like some of these are available for prints. So I feel like that would,
yes.
like there's one little button and and I
Yeah,
feel like one is not enough. People need things to be repeated. So
absolutely. And I see that like here, these don't look like buttons. Add buttons and a headline, like what, if I click on it, it's,
yeah.
you give
Well,
me
those
more
are
content.
they're also falling prey to that same problem that we talked about before, which is the contrast. Like there's not enough contrast there for
Mhm.
people to read it. Like the letters get lost. Like especially like the one that says Africa, I think. But all I can actually see is the Rika. Like I'm just assuming the
Yeah,
rest is there. So
absolutely. Yeah.
but there's ways in I mean you can add gradients if you need to. There's all kinds of stuff. Also you can just do it the very simple way and just put the title below it with a button that says like view now, and you don't have to put anything over your beautiful photos. So
So
yeah.
if you go through like, yeah, these are gorgeous, but there's also, yeah, I would even include call to actions in your in your portfolio or your gallery,
Mhm.
like, do you want me to print, order prints? Do you want me to hire you as a photographer? Um, yeah. And then, okay, so now I feel like as we're scrolling through the site, we're kind of answering those questions, but I would include the headline on top still. I know sometimes text over a beautiful image, some photographers might not want to, but I would say like, or up close, higher on the page. Um,
Mhm.
Here is like, right, crafted to bring mood, story, and quiet beauty in your space. Okay, so here you're telling me what you do, but I had to scroll all the way down. And so I would just move that up. And if it's prints, so you're a photographer that sells prints, okay, great. Tell me above the page, above the fold. I love the mock. You appreciate how I feel like the art is shown visually in different spaces. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that too. I love the mock-ups. I wish more people did them. It looks like it's Australia only too, and I would maybe say that too.
Yeah.
Like I just went to try to like check out to purchase, and that might be something worth saying.
Uh,
You only ship there.
I'm hearing this song in your background. I'm just like, whoa, that's like a pretty
Vibe.
song. Yeah. For a coffee shop. I'm like, oh.
I know. I've done all of them here. I don't know why it's like this today.
Okay, let's see. So where do I buy your prints?
So it's like if you go to the print collection in the bottom.
Okay. So I would say go to print collection or view on print collection from these pages. Like I won't know. Okay, there we go. See, since you have these categories, I feel like this kind of just like hides in there too.
So then if you click on these are actually for sale. These are products.
Gotcha. Okay. I would put your products up in front and center. Please show me what you want to sell and I want to know what to buy. Amazing work. Let's just put your products up top, front and center. If that's like, let's, just get to it. Because here it's like, that's a lot of scrolling to get to where I can just buy those prints. And I would add it to the navigation too. Shop. And a button in your hero section.
Or a button up top that says shop. I would love that too.
Yeah. Can't have too many call to actions.
I mean, you probably can, but we have yet to see anybody do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it's possible. I have not seen it.
Well, beautiful photography, David. Hopefully these tips are helpful. And yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anything else, Tori?
Nope. I think that's it. Just looking forward to some more websites next week.
Yeah. So post your website on the Squarespace forum if you have a Squarespace website, or you can drop a link and we'll check it out. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.